The looter-shooter genre. Most people connected with the live service model. They say that the game will be live for years and there will be a ton of content to enjoy. So, the game gets hyped up and everybody can't wait to get their hands on it. Then, it finally releases. Many game developers and publishers have tried this and, well, we all remember how they turned out. So, what makes Outriders any different? Is it just another disappointment? Or is there something worthwhile here? The first thing that stood out to me when I was learning about Outriders is that unlike other looter-shooter games, this one did not follow the live service model. So when you buy the game, you have the entire experience. Another thing that interests me is that the game was focusing on story a lot more than other looter-shooters in the market. So now that I have my hands on the game, what's the story like? It's fine. The premise of the story is that humanity has lost Earth and they have ventured out to a new planet called Enoch. When they get there, a big storm called the Anomaly occurs, and begin spreading a disease that can dispose of people quickly. You get hit by the disease, and are quickly rushed to cryosleep. You awake 31 years later to a vastly changed world. The setup for the story is alright, however, the dialogue can be quite bad. The main character tries way too hard to be a typical video game badass, and most times it just doesn't work.
Fascist assholes! We're the ones fighting for our lives! Do you even know what they did to us?
I know what you did to me.
It isn't all bad. There are some good story moments, but it definitely could be better. In my opinion, the gameplay and combat system is the strongest part of this game. As I've said numerous times before in this review, Outriders is a looter shooter. So with my expectations, I was hoping for a pretty good gear system, and thankfully, this game delivers. The loot feels satisfying to use and is very rewarding. The weapon and armor designs are also really unique and look really good on your Outrider. The gear system also connects with the difficulty system called World Tiers. When you first start up the game, you'll be in World Tier 1, and you unlock the rest by continuing to play the game. If you put on a high World Tier, then the enemies will be harder, but the loot will be more rewarding. If you put it on a low World Tier, then the enemies will be easier, but you'll have less rewarding loot. Then there's the combat itself, which I've been really enjoying. There are 4 main classes to choose from, those being the Technomancer, Pyromancer, Trickster, and the Devastator. I chose the Pyromancer, who is a mid-range fire-based class, and the abilities are a lot of fun to play around with. While the classes heal in unique ways, the Pyromancer heals when you take out enemies with abilities. All up, Outriders combat is excellent, and is one of the strong parts of the game. Besides the main story, Outriders has a lot of content to offer you. The side missions are one of these things. I recommend you do the side missions because they add more value into the game, and most of them are pretty decent. I also recommend you do them as it allows you to explore the game in more depth, and it's definitely worth it. The planet of Enoch and all its unanswered mysteries is truly something to explore. Outriders is certainly not the best looking game, but it still manages to take my breath away in certain areas. It's clear that the developers put a lot of love into this project. However, that does not mean it's without issues. There have been numerous reports of disconnecting servers and glitches, so it's definitely not the smoothest launch ever. But if you're willing to look past these issues, then Outriders is certainly something you should pick up. If not, you might want to wait a bit to let things get patched up. I've had quite a good time with Outriders. Although the story wasn't as good as I hoped it would be, the game world and combat makes up for this, and makes me want to keep on playing. So I can happily say, I recommend Outriders to you. My final rating is a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching.